Hey there, folks. I'm Joshua Orro, the Mustang Prince, and welcome to Mustang Prince Orro Reports. Now, this episode requires a bit of backstory. So, last year, right before COVID, me and my friends from Musical Theater Village kicked off 2020 with Drowsy Chaperone, where I played Felzig, and while that show was pretty hard, it did become a success. Afterwards, we were going to do Annie, but then COVID happened and it forced us under lockdown. Over the past 15 months, we had to do several online cabarets in order to raise money to keep MTV going. And while it was fun, it wasn't the same as performing for a live audience. But now, after 15 months of being cooped up in a madhouse and the California mask mandate finally being lifted, we at Musical Theater Village are finally ready to perform Annie again. By the way, if you may recall back in 2015, I raged and ranted about the terrible 2014 adaptation, which was ruined by terrible writing, a bland modern time setting, bad casting, and terribly butchered songs. And last year, while I was under lockdown, I looked at the adventurous TV-made sequel, Annie: A Royal Adventure from the mid-90s, starring Ashley Johnson, and at the same time, I discovered the animated direct-to-video Christmas special on YouTube. Also, I did mention that I got to be in Annie with Musical Theater Village during the years of 2009, 2012, and 2015. And about 2 years ago, our good friend Lynette Goodman said during the 25th anniversary Queen's Ball that they did Annie about 5.5 times over the years, making this as their 6.5 time doing it. Plus, not only did they cast me as Officer Ward, the newspaper bum, aka Newsy, Jimmy Johnson, and Drake the Butler, but I also won one business-sized ad to use in their show program, which could be useful to promote my YouTube blog show. However, while the 1982 movie adaptation of Annie with Aileen Quinn is classical, today I want to look at my favorite adaptation, which was made by Walt Disney Television. So let's get started. Released to television on November 7th, 1999, the movie is, well, Annie. So, let's get started. In this TV version of the 1977 Broadway musical, Annie is rescued from the misery of Miss Hannigan's orphanage by Grace Farrell, whose employer, the wealthy industrialist and Wall Street tycoon Oliver Warbucks, has decided to take in an orphan for Christmas. Later, before Warbucks decides to adopt Annie, he offers to help her search for her real mom and dad, which begins in earnest when Warbucks decides to offer a cash prize of $50,000 to her parents, if they will only reveal themselves and return to her. So, what are my thoughts on this version? Well, to me, ever since I rented this movie from Netflix during my high school age, I have to admit, this is my favorite adaptation of Annie. And I think it's a lot better than the 2014 version. Heck, even better than the 1982 version. No offense. But to further explain why, let's move on to Mustang notes. This special was the directorial debut of Rob Marshall, who previously was a choreographer for Cinderella back in 1997, and he would later direct films like Chicago, Pirates of the Caribbean 4, Into the Woods, Mary Poppins Returns, and he'll soon be directing the upcoming Little Mermaid live-action remake. The special was written by Irene Michi and produced by Walt Disney Television, Columbia TriStar Television, Storyline Entertainment, and Chris Montan Productions. Annie marks the first film collaboration between the Walt Disney Company and Columbia Pictures since Columbia distributed Disney's Silly Symphony film series as well as the Mickey Mouse cartoon series from 1929 to 1932. Also to note, this special was the second most watched Disney film to air on ABC, behind Cinderella 1997. Plus, it earned 2 Emmy Awards and a George Foster Peabody Award. Now, in my opinion, despite the fact that this version was made for television, I think the setting of 1930s New York City looks pretty good. By the way, for those who may not know, the 1930s was the time of the Great Depression, which started after a major fall in stock prices, which began around September 4th, 1929, and became worldwide news with the stock market crash of October 29th, 1929, and it lasted until the beginning of World War II. During that time period, lots of jobs became scarce, folks became homeless, constructions were virtually halted in many countries, farming communities and rural areas suffered as crop prices fell by about 60%. Even mining and logging industries suffered the most. Anyway, aside from the New York settings, I think the Warbucks mansion looks very grand and rich, no pun intended, while Agatha Hannigan's Hudson Street Home for Girls looks really messy and non-pleasant. Now let's talk about some of the songs featured in this version. Now, in my opinion, the Annie soundtrack has got to be one of the most classical in the history of Broadway, and I think they're a lot better than those terribly butchered songs from the 2014 version. Some of my favorites in this version include Hard Knock Life, where Annie and the other orphans are forced into slave labor, I Think I'm Gonna Like It Here, or Welcome, which is sung by Grace Farrell while introducing Annie to the Warbucks staff, You're Never Fully Dressed Without a Smile, sung by Occident radio host Bert Healy and the lovely Boylan sisters, which later gets a reprise sung by the Orphans, and the finale song, I Don't Need Anything But You, sung by Annie and Oliver Warbucks. Sadly, the Hooverville song is not featured here, probably due to the fact that it's kind of political. Also, I still stand by that Hannigan's Little Girls song is my least favorite, while Easy Street is a fan favorite villain song, mainly due to the choreography. Also, I'm impressed that the NYC song has been added to this version, and in my opinion, this is a really amazing song due to it capturing the feeling of Manhattan, and I think everybody should listen to it before their first visit to the Big Apple. Also, I like that the song features a Broadway dance scene, which surprisingly was taken directly from the Broadway melody ballet in Singing in the Rain. Also, the actress who plays the star-to-be during the song is none other than Andrea McArdle, who played Annie in the original Broadway production back in 1977. Now that's pretty awesome. And now let's move on to the cast. Our title character, Annie Bennett, is played by Alicia Morton, marking this as her first film role. Now, first of all, I think Alicia did wonderful for her first role. And next thing you know, a year later, after this special, she got to reprise her role as Annie at her school in Baton Rouge, Louisiana. As for Annie herself, well, I like the fact that she's optimistic and she likes to see the bright side of things. But at the same time, Annie is determined to find her biological parents, despite the fact that she's unaware of their death from a fire. Plus, I think the songs that Annie sings, like Maybe and Tomorrow, are just the sweetest songs in the entire show. Next we come to Annie's dog, Sandy, who's played by 2 dogs named Chester and Chip. In my eyes, even though he doesn't appear too much, I think Sandy is a smart and loyal dog with a keen sense of smell. Our next character is the wealthy industrialist, Wall Street tycoon, and Annie's adopted dad, Oliver Warbucks, played by Victor Garber. Best known from films like Godspell, James Cameron's Titanic, Rodgers and Hammerstein's Cinderella from 1997, and 2003's Music Man. To me, Warbucks is a busy and rich character, and I like that during this film, he takes in an orphan for the Christmas holidays. Also, while he was at first uncomfortable with Annie due to the fact that she's a girl, I like that Warbucks became charmed with her. Plus, I like that he tries to help Annie track down her biological parents with some help from the FBI, Bert Healy's radio show, and of course President Franklin Roosevelt. Still, I think Warbucks and Annie make a nice father-daughter team, and I feel proud working for him as Drake on stage. Next up is Warbucks' personal secretary and my favorite character in the show, Grace Farrell, played by Audra McDonald, who'd later play Madame Garderobe in 2017's Beauty and the Beast, and she'll be playing Barbara Franklin in Respect this August. To me, Grace is such a sweet character, and I think she makes a wonderful mother figure for Annie. Speaking of which, I just love the part where Warbucks proposed to her at the special's ending. Next is the nasty and abusive Agatha Hannigan, played by Kathy Bates, whom was the unsinkable Molly Brown in James Cameron's Titanic, Queen Victoria in Around the World in 80 Days, Miss Doughty in Christmas is Here Again, and Annie Wilkes in Stephen King's Misery. Now, I gotta say, I really hate Hannigan, due to the fact that she hates kids, hence why one of the reasons why her little girl's song is my least favorite in the entire show. Plus, she's totally unscrupulous, and she doesn't let any of the orphans outside of the orphanage. Also, I thought it was very despicable of her to join forces with her brother to fool Warbucks and get the $50,000 reward money. Also, I wouldn't be surprised if Hannigan was the inspiration for the pain-in-the-butt Dolores Umbridge, due to the fact that Hannigan has always taught Annie and the other orphans to never ever tell a lie, which does come back to bite her in the butt nearing the end of the special, and it lands her in the nut house. Also to note, I think Kathy Bates' acting is pretty similar to my friend Lynette's style of acting. Finally, we come to Daniel Francis Hannigan, aka Rooster Hannigan, aka Danny the Dip, and his girlfriend Lily St. Regis, played by Alan Cumming and Kristen Chenoweth, whom were both in Strange Magic. To me, Rooster is a sly, dastardly, but clever con artist who plans to get Warbucks' $50,000. Plus, I just can't believe that he would plan to kill Annie after kidnapping her. As for Lily, well, she's quite idiotic and dumb throughout the movie. Her lack of wit causes her allies, Rooster and Aggie, to put little trust in her, which gives her a slightly smaller role in this version compared to the stage musical. But on the other hand, I like the part where the orphans forced Lily to spill the beans during a poker game. Other members of the cast include Dennis Howard, Douglas Fisher, Vic Polizos, Ernie Sabella, and a young Sarah Hyland. And now let's move on to my final words. Overall, the 1999 Annie special is such a remarkable movie, and out of all the versions of Annie that I've seen, this one stays true to the original Broadway show. The setting is good, most of the songs are classical, the choreography is amazing, the acting is spot on, and the characters are memorable, fun, and always make me smile. I recommend this special for everybody who are either fans of musical theater or movie musicals in general. And so, I give this special a full 100%. Also, if you folks want to see Annie being performed at Musical Theater Village, be sure to go to this link for ticket information. But, while I'm in most of the show times, you have until July 11th to see it. Well, that's all for now. Be sure to join me for my next blog. Mustang Power.